writing about music is like dancing about architecture. I don't know if any of you have heard that quote. But in its original form, it said writing about music is as illogical as singing about economics. And I think that's really the case when one speaks about having an international appeal, because you may as well speak about having any appeal at all. If one could, certainly if I or Sipo or Rashid could put our finger on public taste, I think that we wouldn't be here either listening or speaking this morning. We'd be relaxing on some island. Having success in the music industry is not like baking a cake. You don't have a set of ingredients, make sure that you mix it correctly, put it in the oven, and it comes out. There are so many cases where people who've had a lot more success than anyone in this room have believed that a certain artist that they've either produced or discovered or groomed would go on to massive success. And that has not been the case. A lot of producers have made certain records, and unfortunately, again, they've imagined that they're going to have dramatic success, but they've not achieved that. So I don't think it's so much about the ingredients of having international success. It's rather about a broader and more holistic understanding of the music industry, the socio-cultural industry. And I think that what I'm going to do this morning is to give a few examples of where there's been a collision between music and certain socio-cultural changes in a society, where the music has been embraced by that society and gone on to be quite successful. Now, even under the dark days of apartheid, I was extremely lucky that at the school that I attended in Cape Town, they had a music teacher. And I think that if you want to kind of get to the end of the scale and talk about music with an international appeal, I think what is very, very important is that there's got to be an opportunity to push for children to have an education in music at an extremely young age, because that ultimately is going to imbue them with a level of dedication that I spoke about earlier when I spoke about the soil, and a level of belief, and also a long time period in order to learn a particular craft. So that when they get to higher education levels, they can start talking about, questions like, again, music having an international appeal, but at the same time, they would have lived a life through music. Again, what I think is really, really important, other than listening to music, is reading about music. Because there are so many examples, and I'm going to give you quite a few this morning, of music that has come from particular countries, come from particular backgrounds that one would not have imagined going to be successful. But where, as I say, the music and cultural changes in a country, socioeconomic changes in a country, have impacted for that music to go on to have, as I say, an international appeal. But by the time kind of long hair rock had, disappeared off the charts, you had groups like, obviously, NWA, Dr. Dre, Public Enemy, starting a cultural movement. And that cultural movement over time became a significant economic movement. But it had real roots, it had real followers, long before kids were listening to this music on the radio, on the charts. At a time, in fact, when Tipper Gore was putting stickers on CDs, parental guidance, this music had already taken hold. It had taken hold across the country, across America. It was only a matter of time before it would be extremely significant and influential. In much the same way, the cultural, socio-economic, political changes that came in South Africa in the 90s, there was going to be a music that was going to reflect those changes, and Kwaito was that music. So again, one has to ask the question whether or not the musicians came first, or whether or not the political, social, economic changes came first. Kwaito music, similarly, was an outpouring of South African youth, and I was extremely lucky at the time to be involved with a radio station by the name of YFM. It was one of the important progenitors of Kwaito music in this country. And again, it was a different time, extremely halcyon days in South Africa, not only in music but in so many ways. And again, I think that there was this impact between what was happening musically, what was happening socially, what was happening culturally. So, in broad terms, what I'm trying to say is that one can create music that you hope appeals to not only a small, tiny audience, maybe in a province, but in a country, goes on to have international appeal. But you're probably also going to have to be pretty lucky in terms of where a particular country, where the world is at a time.